Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2009. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London. And in Mexico City right now, it's 8:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. I take that back. It's now 10:30 a.m. in Atlantic City. It's 10:30 a.m. in Mexico City. Today's birthday is the American actor Robert Redford. Is 72 years old today. In the United States, the main news actually is focused on the health care debate, the so-called public option, which would be a selection that Americans would have that would allow them to receive health insurance essentially courtesy of the United States government. The government would enter as a health carrier. The president has long favored such an option, but he's begun to backpedal a little bit in face of Republican opposition to it. And what has happened is that the liberal wing of the Democratic Party has now begun to say to the president, we won't support it unless there is in fact a public option. So it's August in Washington, which is a traditionally slow month, so there's an awful lot of discussion. The real heavy lifting will begin in September. Now to our main news. The main news in our industry continues to be hurricanes. Hurricane Bill, here we go. Here's the Atlantic this morning. We see Bill off on the right. There's a low pressure system in the center there over Hispaniola and Cuba in the Virgin Islands. That's the remnants of Tropical Storm Ana. Off to the left over northern Alabama now are the remnants of Claudette. That's not even being shown. Bill, however, is expected to pass near Bermuda sometime on Saturday. It's about 1,500 miles east of the Leeward Islands right now. It has sustained winds right now about 100 miles per hour. So people are getting a little bit nervous about this. And what we can see here is that it's now strengthened to a Category 2 level. Higher gusts than 100 miles per hour, and it's moving west-northwest at about 17 miles per hour. It's going to continue supposedly on the same path for the next day or two, but then there's going to be a gradual turn up to the northwest sometime tomorrow night. The remnants of Ana over Hispaniola and Cuba and the DR are dumping as much as 6 inches of rain in the area. But there's not too much in the way of gusty winds, so it's not too much damage expected. There has been a lot of damage if you own a credit card in the United States. 3 men have been indicted in the U.S. for allegedly stealing information from at least 130 million credit and debit cards. This is the biggest hacking case in American history. A former government informant named Albert Gonzalez was indicted yesterday with 2 unnamed Russians for allegedly hacking into computer networks between 2006 and 2008 to steal banking information. They were charged with conspiracy to gain unauthorized access to computers, to commit fraud in connection with computers, and to damage computers, as well as conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Among the organizations the 3 allegedly targeted were Heartland Payment Systems, which is here in Princeton. They're a credit card processor, 7-Eleven, a convenience store company, and a supermarket chain in the U.S. called Hannaford Brothers. Prosecutors said the suspects targeted large corporations by scanning a list of Fortune 500 companies, and then they explored the corporate websites before setting out to identify vulnerabilities. One of the methods that they employed was to carry out surveillance at retail locations to identify the type of card machines used before hacking through the firewalls or security software of the computer networks. They would then seek to sell the data to others who would use it to make fraudulent purchases. The stolen information was allegedly sent to servers in California, Illinois, Latvia, Holland, and the Ukraine. Gonzalez is a 28-year-old American citizen from Miami. He's going to appear in court to answer these charges next month. There's a lot of political fallout now happening in Taiwan, in addition to economic fallout. The Taiwanese president, Ma Ying-jeou, said this morning that the recent typhoon, Morakot, that caused floods and so much death, 500 killed, will hurt third quarter gross domestic product, and the government may have to draw up a special budget for relief and reconstruction work. He said he's going to assess by early September whether any officials made errors in their handling of the rescue and relief efforts. He didn't give any further details. Just before we came on the air, in fact, the Taiwanese vice foreign minister was forced to resign in connection with this. The Taiwanese Directorate of Budget and Accounting will announce any revisions to GDP forecasts Thursday when it issues Taiwan's second quarter GDP data. Back in May, it predicted that the GDP would contract at about 3% for the third quarter and 4.25% for all of 2009. You can be sure that that's going to take a further hit in contrast to countries in the area emerging from recession. Bob Benmosh, the former MetLife executive who's now going to be running AIG, is not going to be doing it for $1 a year like his predecessor Ed Liddy. He's just received a annual compensation package of $7 million. $3 million will be in cash and $4 million in shares. This came to light in a filing yesterday. In addition to the base compensation, Mr. Benmosh may receive up to $3.5 million in additional shares under annual performance-based incentives. AIG said that the level of his bonus would be determined by the group's compensation and would, of course, fall under the scrutiny of the Troubled Asset Relief Program. The TARP overseer of pay and salaries, Kenneth Feinberg, has approved Benmosh's pay package. The group said that Benmosh will receive no severance package if his employment is terminated. Stock market's doing better than yesterday. It's up about 56 points. Yesterday was a bad day. It was down about 180. We'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news.
Every day, the world wakes up and goes to work, pursuing the unique opportunities that lead the global economy forward. The complexity and close connectivity of today's global marketplace is a true modern miracle that can create unparalleled success. But it takes confidence, passion, innovation, and understanding.
Enabling opportunity. Protecting capital.
Engineering innovation. Investing in your future.
Ensuring continuity.
Finding the right balance.
It takes Aon.
Some news from London this morning that Clive Watson, the chief executive of Canopius Managing Agents, is going to retire on October 1st. Canopius confirmed that. The company said he was sad to leave the firm, but they added that the decision was based on his desire to spend more time on personal interests outside the industry. Canopius chairman Michael Watson will resume the role of Canopius as CEO until a successor is found. Michael Watson will also take responsibility for Syndicate 4444, which is the core Canopius operating business that writes a wide variety of business, including North American facilities and treaty reinsurance. Clive Watson spent 9 years at Aviva before joining Canopius back in 2004. He also spent time as a broker as well as a Lloyd's underwriter. He's a well-known name at Lloyd's. Some news from Berlin that German investor confidence has jumped to its highest level in more than 3 years. This is during the month of August, after rising exports and government stimulus success has begun to pull the largest economy in Europe out of recession. The ZEW Center for European Economic Research said its index of investor and analyst expectations rose from 39.5 all the way up to 56. Economists had predicted a gain to 45. This is the highest since April of 2006. The survey hopes to predict economic development 6 months in advance. The German economy expanded